Ranjani had decided to talk to Smriti. But this time, she had to speak with love, like a daughter, instead of being harsh like yesterday. However, she had forgotten how to do that. At that moment, she realized how far her years of resentment towards Smriti had brought her. By noon, she stepped out of her room. Smriti had created a small flower garden in the compound of the house. Whenever loneliness struck her, she would spend time tending to the plants, sitting on a chair there, reading books, going through client files, or looking at her phone. Smriti had been to the parlor but had forgotten to apply nail polish to her fingers. Though she was 45 years old, her beauty had not faded. In fact, after returning from the parlor, she looked even more radiant. Ranjani saw Smriti sitting on a chair in the small flower garden. She didn't know how to approach her. She lacked the courage. But she had to go, so she gathered her strength. As she took 4 steps forward, fear gripped her again. Taking 4 more steps, she stood near the rose plants, looking at the flowers. Ranju, do you want some roses? Pluck them, they are right there. The pink ones will suit you well, Smriti said. Not now. I'll take them in the evening when I leave. If I pluck them now, they'll wither, Ranjani replied gently. Ah, finally, you're speaking to me calmly. How many years has it been since you spoke to me like this? Smriti expressed her joy. Mom, should I apply nail polish for you? Ranjani asked. What could make me happier than this? Come, apply it, Smriti said. Ranjani sat on the ground in front of her. The lush green grass spread like a soft carpet beneath her. I'll start with your toenails first, Ranjani said. What's with this sudden change in you today? Smriti asked. I just felt like talking to you. That's why I came, Ranjani replied. I have been waiting for this moment all these years, haven't I? But you are always so cold towards me, Smriti said. Ranjani still didn't have the courage to look at Smriti's face. As she applied the red nail polish to Smriti's toenails, she said, Mom, even at this age, you still look so young. Your feet are still so fair and soft. Your skin hasn't wrinkled at all. Tonight, when you come back, wear a silver anklet. You must be up to something. You're praising me so much. What are you planning? Smriti teased. Mom, I want to ask you something, Ranjani said while switching to the other foot and applying nail polish. What is it? Smriti asked. Why didn't you remarry after your divorce? Smriti remained silent for a while. After thinking for a moment, she said, I never felt the need to remarry. Why not? Ranjani asked. You were the reason, Smriti said. By then, Ranjani had finished painting her toenails. Sit down, I'll apply to your fingernails too, Ranjani said, making Smriti sit on the ground. How am I the reason? Ranjani continued the conversation. I knew that you loved your father more than me. I didn't want to bring someone else into his place, Smriti replied. I never wanted you two to separate. Why didn't you ever think about that? Why did you both part ways? Ranjani asked while applying nail polish to her other hand. The situation was such back then. We both made mistakes. Mine was a little bigger. They say women should be embodiments of patience, but I lost my temper. I failed to understand your father. Tanuj is a very good man. I had forgotten that. He always had a nature of helping the poor and those in trouble. That was the very quality that made me fall in love with him. Mom, how did you and Dad first meet? Ranjani asked as she finished applying nail polish and capped the bottle. I first saw Tanuj at a temple. It was a Sunday. I had gone there with my friends. We performed the rituals and needed to break a coconut outside, but we couldn't. It was too hard. There was no one around to help. Just then, Tanuj arrived. I asked him if he could break it for us. He did. I thanked him. He smiled and said, Why thank me for such a small thing? And walked away. We sat there for a while and then stepped outside the temple. Tanuj was standing near his scooter. Meanwhile, a biker lost control and crashed into a small roadside stall. An elderly woman inside got injured and let out a loud cry. The biker fell but quickly got up and picked up his bike. We all ran toward the woman, and Tanuj also rushed there. Blood was flowing from the elderly woman's hand. Tanuj, identifying himself as a doctor, quickly moved the crowd aside and examined the elderly woman. A sharp bamboo basket had pierced her hand, severing a blood vessel, causing heavy bleeding. He used his handkerchief to tightly bandage the wound to stop the bleeding. "She needs to be taken to the hospital immediately," he said. The bike rider had also suffered minor injuries, but they were not as severe as the old woman's. That day, we had booked a car to roam around Bangalore. Since we had our own car, we took the old woman in it and drove her to Tanuj's newly opened hospital. We stayed there for quite some time, got the old woman's wound bandaged, gave her medicine, and then dropped her back home in our car. After that, my friends and I started visiting Tanuj's hospital whenever we had health issues. Sometimes, even if we weren't sick, we would make excuses just to see him. "What happened after that?" Ranjani asked. "What else? Love happened. That's all," Smrithi said shyly. Through their conversation, the bond between mother and daughter grew stronger. "That's it? Your love story is so boring," Ranjani teased. "There were no mobile phones back then like there are now, Ranju. We couldn't talk for hours. Didn't you both go out together?" Ranjani asked. "Sometimes, yes, especially for dinner or to watch a movie." Tanuj was very silent, not much of a talker. One time, when we went for dinner, he asked, "What will you eat?" I told him, "Order whatever you like." "I love mutton biryani," I said, and ordered 2 plates of it. I was enjoying my food, eating the rice along with a piece of meat. But Tanuj only ate the rice and pushed the meat aside. "Tanuj, why aren't you eating the meat?" I asked. "I don't eat non-veg," he replied. "You should have told me before." I said, "I didn't want to upset you, and I wouldn't like it if you stopped eating non-veg just for my sake," he said. "Wow, Dad is so romantic," Ranjani said with a grin. "Yes, Ranju." That day, his words melted my heart. "From that day on, my love for him grew even more," Smrithi said. And then, another time, we went to watch a Hindi movie together. After the movie, I asked him, "Did you like the film?" Tanuj replied, "I didn't understand anything." "What do you mean?" I asked. "I don't know Hindi," he said. "Oh no, Dad." Ranjani laughed. That's when I realized that Tanuj didn't know Hindi. Poor guy, he just sat there quietly for 3 hours, staring at the screen for my sake. "Mom, even then, I don't like the fact that you both got divorced," Ranjani said. The atmosphere, which had been filled with laughter, suddenly turned serious. "My dear, even I didn't want it. But I already told you, the situation at that time was different. Did you both never meet again? Did you never even try to talk things out and get back together? Maybe my ego didn't allow it. Every day, arguing in court, winning cases, proving I was always right. It all built a sense of arrogance in me. That day, when he said, 'Are you corrupt too?' I think if I had reacted with patience instead of anger, none of this would have happened. I was working hard, so why should I tolerate his accusations? That ego destroyed me," Smrithi admitted. "Let's not talk about this now. Ranjani, tell me, what are you wearing this evening? I have so many clothes lying in my wardrobe. If you want anything, just ask." Smrithi changed the topic. "I want a beautiful sari. I don't have a single one. Today, I feel like wearing a sari. Will you teach me how to drape it?" Ranjani asked excitedly. "Oh, Ranju, I almost forgot. My daughter is now old enough to wear a sari and get married. In all these years of fighting, I lost so much. I have so many saris, all brand new. I buy them every festival with my friends, but I never wear them. I will teach you how to wear a sari. Pick the one you like," Smrithi said. Overjoyed, they both went inside the house. Outside, in a small nest on a tree, a mother bird was feeding her little chicks, showering them with love and care. In the same way, after so many years, Smrithi was finally getting to experience the warmth of a mother's love for her daughter. In a single conversation, all the distance between them had disappeared.